Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Looking to Divorce Your Hotel PMS, How Mobile PMS Can Alleviate the Operational Pains. I'm your host, Frigola, and I'm joined by our presenter today, Senior Sales Director here at Stayntouch, Hyatt Adhanom. Hyatt has been in the cloud SaaS space for over 8 years and working with industries from healthcare to education and now in hospitality for the last year and a half here at Stayntouch. He loves working for companies ahead of technology curve and always displaying foresight in their respective industries to disrupt the paradigm via innovation. As a sales director here at Stayntouch, he oversees growing partnerships in the U.S. Southwest and Western Europe. All right, so we will quickly run through the agenda and get you guys prepared to hear all about it. First, we're going to address how a cloud PMS and a mobile PMS offers your staff flexibility, the impact of being able to access your PMS from anywhere at any time with any device. We'll also discuss replacing repetition with automation, how that can quickly and easily streamline your operations, easy task setup and management. We'll also discuss enhancing communications and productivity, how mobility can break the silos across your departments and give staff greater visibility, which in turn bolsters their productivity. And then at the end, we will give you guys a little show and tell. We're going to go live and look at how a complete guest and staff user experience happens on a mobile PMS. With that said, I want you guys to just participate in a couple of back-to-back poll questions. The first, what is the most important factor when deciding on a new PMS for your property? Ease of use, mobility, flexibility, integrations, pricing, or other? Give you guys about 20 seconds here before I close the poll and launch the results. All right, about 10 more seconds. Closing the poll now and sharing the results. What is the most important factor when deciding on a new PMS for your property? 38% of you say ease of use, 50% say integrations, 13% say mobility and flexibility, 0 say pricing, which is it's always a good thing, and then others say, or 0% say other. But if there is something else that comes to mind, please feel free to drop it in the questions box and we can address that head on. Now our next poll, in your hotel, who's the biggest influencer when deciding what new systems your property will use? The hotel owner or operator, general manager, revenue manager, IT team, or other? Give you guys another 15 seconds here. All right, I'm closing the poll now. Sharing the results. It looks like overwhelmingly it is a hotel owner and operator. Okay, so we are going to go straight into the presentation. Hyatt is going to first discuss how flexibility and being able to access your PMS from anywhere, anytime, at any place can streamline your operations. Hyatt?
Yes, great. Thank you, Free. Well, good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are. So today, and again, my name is Hyatt Adhanom, Sales Director here at Stayntouch. Today, we're going to talk about how to leverage mobility and, how that can help drive automation, how that can make, excuse me, your hotel, your guest journey a lot more, streamlined, a lot more flexible, and really increase communication between the guest, the front of the house, and the back of the house, and what the impacts of those experiences will be, not only for your guests but also for your staff. So when thinking about flexibility and having a nimble property management system that can be used on any kind of device, First off, you want to start with having a cloud system. You want it to be intuitive. You want it to be easy to use. You want your staff to be enabled by the system, not feel like it slows them down when it comes to communicating requests, communicating financial information, updating things for the guest. And from a management standpoint, you want a system that you can access anywhere. So if you're traveling and you want to see the numbers for the day, the RevPAR, the occupancy, if you want to make adjustments, you should have that flexibility through your property management system. So in short, you really want a system that is adaptive and that can allow you to use it in any way you want when it comes to the devices, when it comes to access anywhere, and when it comes to really making your data a lot easier to access for both staff and for management. And then, so when we talk about the most important user, as we say, it's the guest, right? If we think about what's the most important experience at the hotel, it's the guest experience. So you want to provide them technology that allows them to streamline their experience. Things like mobile check-in, things like self-service check-in, give them choice of service. I think that is, one of the hugest aspects of technology is that it gives you convenience. It gives you the ability to dictate your service experience from a guest standpoint. And that's what a mobile PMS should enable. It should allow you to be more proactive when it comes to the guest experience and allow them to, personalize and communicate with you even before they arrive on property. And I think that, what we're seeing become more and more prevalent is the fact that you now have not only a physical guest, you have a digital guest, right? And that digital guest is active way before they come on property. You have an opportunity to know more about them, to get information from them, offer them, upgrades, amenities, and allow them to really own their experience even before they get to the hotel. And that's really what the service experience should be about, is allowing them to control, their interaction with the property. And then for the staff, really untethering them, letting them walk up to a guest as soon as they arrive curbside, or if you want to check a guest in at the airport on the tarmac, if you want to really get fancy. I think it just gives you guys a lot more, or gives a hotel a lot more fluidity when it comes to the check-in process. It allows them to be more adaptive when guests walk in. And I think most importantly, for the staff, it should be something that's simple, right? It shouldn't feel like they're taking a test when they log in to their PMS. It should be something when they open it on a mobile device or a desktop, whatever they're using, they see the most pertinent information real time. So when we think about replacing repetition with automation, that's really the key when it comes to mobility, is that you can drive automation through mobile technology. You can know when a guest is coming in. You can allocate proper resources when it comes to housekeeping, when it comes to the front desk, and have linear data, right? Have that data travel through from the guest to front desk to housekeeper or housekeeping seamlessly. And so that you guys can be a lot more proactive from a hotel standpoint, from a service standpoint. In addition, when we think about accessibility and kind of automating financials and things like that, having a system that allows you to set a specific time when financials are sent out, whether it's going to be sent out to the GM, to the revenue manager, to the accounting person, having a system that is built to automatically send that information to the proper, users that need to assess that on a daily basis. Also being able to see real time when, when things are being updated, when occupancy is going up and down, when guests are arriving, so that you're able to focus on the most important data points and metrics that matter to the hotel on a daily basis. Now, when we think about a mobile PMS, one of the most important aspects of that is housekeeping. And they're like, I like to compare them to kind of the the running back of the of the hotel process. Meaning, they're doing a lot of the grunt work when it comes to turning rooms, making sure that things are moving along well. So you want to make sure that you give them a tool or a system that allows for that connectivity, allows for real-time updates. And in turn, what you're really doing is you're automating the guest experience and that notification to a guest when a room is ready. So giving yourself or giving housekeeping a more dynamic, mobile, housekeeping process is actually going to drive operational efficiency. It's going to allow you to turn rooms faster, communicate to the front desk that rooms are ready, and then in turn, communicate to the guest that their room is ready and they can go check in. And so when we think about the front of the house and the back of the house, that's obviously two very important aspects of the hotel, and making sure that there is seamless communication between those both of those facets of the hotel. When you have a mobile property management system that's cloud-based, it's going to allow you guys to communicate a lot more effectively when it comes to maintenance items, when it comes to automating a process around that, when it comes to requests from the guest, right? If the guest wants extra pillows or they want, a bottle of champagne, things like that, having a system that allows your staff to access it wherever they are on the property, make an update to a guest request or make an update to a room request, and having that information update real time in the property management system is crucial for an automated operational process. And I think what's interesting when we look at the staff user experience, which is they're the people that are on the front line using the system every day. What we're finding through a variety of studies is that mobility and mobile tools, whether it's in hotels or whether it's in retail, whatever kind of industry we're looking at, it helps enhance productivity. It helps enhance communication. It's going to allow you to be more nimble and more responsive as a company or as a entity. So I think what we're finding is that the demand for mobility is only increasing, and your staff expect to have systems that enable them, allow for real-time communication, and that's really what mobility is all about, along with having a cloud-based system that facilitates that real-time update and connection. And so, being able to update, when you need to adjust a room status, update or see when VIPs are checking in, update guest profile information, being able to, triage or assign tasks is something that, mobile PMS is going to allow you to do. So, if you're walking with a guest to their room and they need, you go to the room and there needs to be something fixed in the room, you can assign an action to, for example, your IT department or your maintenance department real time, and they can address that immediately. Those little nuances, those little intangibles add up to a more complete, guest experience, and something that will ensure you guys are as responsive to the guests as possible. In addition, if we think about peripheral benefits to being mobile and being cloud-based, reducing paper, right? Instead of having reams of paper that you're printing out for the housekeeping list and things like that, the registration card, going, green in a way, it's kind of a peripheral benefit of being in the cloud and going mobile, is that you don't have to print off all this paper anymore. It's all digital. You can manage it. You can track every aspect of your processes, from housekeeping to reg cards, to every data point within the guest profile via your mobile and cloud-based PMS. Okay. And then, when we think about, again, going back to housekeeping, being able to be a lot more dynamic, a lot more responsive, being able to see when guests are checking in, so you can prioritize the room cleanings and which rooms are going to get cleaned first, when guests are checking out, when you want the housekeeper to go up and clean the room. Having that intel allows you to drive a more personalized experience for the guest and be more in tune with what they want and what they need, right? And then having that ability to connect with the guests before they arrive gives you additional touch points when it comes to amenities, when it comes to upselling, when it comes to offering them things like early check-in or late checkout if they're checking out. So all of those things add up to convenience for the guests, giving them ownership over their stay, and in turn giving you intelligence about what they want when they get to your hotel for housekeeping and then for the front desk experience.
Before we get to the questions portion, like I said before, we will show you guys a little bit about how this user experience between the guest and staff happens, the complete workflow really within a mobile PMS. But before I jump into there, I did want to touch base on, with you, Hyatt, our respondents to the poll question, the initial poll question we asked. A lot of them said ease of use is an important thing. So talk a little bit about the ease of use of a mobile PMS and how that really allows hoteliers to empower their guests and empower their staff so that things are happening in a much more efficient way and something that can be replicated in terms of the process.
Yeah, I mean, I think ease of use and having an intuitive system that allows you guys to speed up the process or allows a front desk staff to check in a guest with 3 clicks via mobile device is crucial, and it adds up. Those intangibles really do add up to a better service experience because we've all been, we've all been there where we're standing in line waiting for a front desk agent to find somebody else's reservation. I recently I flew over to Europe to meet with one of our hotels that we're working with and some other groups. And when I flew over there, I stood in customs for an hour and a half. They had one customs guy who was kind of clueless, he was taking his time. So I was already, by the time I got to the hotel, I was already exhausted. I had taken a red-eye flight. So when I got there, they were using, our mobile PMS. So I was able to go in, use self-service check-in, get my room, get my key, and go up to my room. And that was, very valuable for me, just from a guest experience, from a business traveler experience. So that was the ease of use on the guest side. But, when you have a tablet check-in, you're able to really connect with the guests, walk the guests to wherever they have to go. And like Free is saying, having something, or like the question is asking, having something that is not antiquated, something that speeds up the process, not slows it down, is crucial for the staff user experience as well.
All right. And so before you show us that, I'm gonna switch over the presentation to Hyatt, who's going to show you guys exactly how that looks in our mobile PMS. But I do want to prompt our audience to send in any questions if you have anything pertinent you want to talk about, or once he shows you the back end and the processes of the mobile PMS, you guys can follow up with any questions, and we'll be sure to address those. Alrighty. Hyatt, I am making you the presenter.
Great. All right, guys. So when we think about the guest experience and how mobility is going to help you automate a lot of your processes, it starts out with connecting with the guests before they arrive, right? So having that pre-arrival engagement. With Stayntouch, you have the ability to do a pre-arrival mobile check-in. This goes out automatically to all your check-ins for the day. It also will go out to your check-outs for the day. When the guest gets this, it's going to offer them the ability to indicate their checkout date. Okay. You can have whatever credentials you want when it comes to identifying the guests, last 4 digits of the credit card, whatever information you want to confirm them. And then you can require that they accept terms and conditions for your hotel. This will be tracked in the system so you can confirm that they accepted. And then from there, you're giving the guest an option to upgrade. The guest can toggle through the different options if they want to or not. And then from here, the guest can indicate what time they're going to arrive. So, for example, if I just flew in from a red-eye flight and I'm landing at 10 a.m., I'm getting to the hotel at 11 a.m., for example, I can communicate that to the hotel so you guys can be prepared from a front of the house standpoint and also from a back of the house standpoint when it comes to cleaning the rooms. Comments, please, have extra towels, right? Something as simple as that. You can communicate this to your front of the house. This will get sent to them via email so that they can be prepared. And then from here, the guests can do early check-in if they want to. Again, convenience, allowing the guests to indicate their service experience, and people will pay for convenience. I think that's fair to say. We see that with a lot of the things we use, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Uber, you'll pay for what you want, right? So if I'm checking in early, I'll pay for that, especially if it allows me to have a more convenient stay. Okay. And then from here, the guests can indicate if they want to have any kind of amenities. These are things that are going to be set up in our system by the hotel. Again, this reduces the guests having to walk up to the concierge or even the front desk and saying, I need parking or I'd like to do a massage. So this just allows you guys to automate that as well. Okay. And then that's it. The guest is now checked in. They know, you now know as a hotel when they're going to be arriving. And then going into the actual PMS, you can now see in the PMS which guests are doing mobile check-in, what time they're arriving. And again, getting back to that simplicity, ease of use, that's really the thinking behind Stayntouch. You can see from a front desk standpoint everything you need to see about the hotel for the day: arrivals, check-ins, check-outs. You have a color-coded UI, so anytime you see any of these colors, whether it's green for check-in or red for check-out, you know what it's referring to, right? And then for the guests, you can see how many guests have done pre-arrival mobile check-in. When we're talking about actually checking in a guest, walking up to them with a tablet, you have the ability to go in, look at arrivals. For example, I'm going to check in somebody here. I can actually look them up by their name right here. And then you can also see if it's a VIP, if there's specific requests. You can see that in here under notes. And then you can actually check in the guests with 3 easy clicks. When you go to check in the guests, it's going to offer an upgrade again. Throughout our system, that's a prevalent approach, meaning you want to give the guests an option of upgrading their room at many points during their journey. And it's an option. It's not necessarily selling them the room, it's just letting them know what's available for their stay. And then from here, the guests can go in, complete check-in, authorize their credit card, and now we've checked in a guest, right? And you can do that while you're talking to the guest. You can capture a lot more information about the guest so that you know more about them, and what they want during their stay, right? But you see how simple that is, right? Another thing that we can help out with is self-service check-in. So when we think about guests being able to walk in, walk up to a tablet, and check themselves in, that's becoming something that we see everywhere when it comes to retail, when it comes to the airport, when it comes to going to the movies. I actually did self-service check-in at a movie theater a couple weeks ago. It was easy, it was simple, got to skip the line. For the guests, they can walk in, they can enter their name, their last name, their departure date, right? And then they can add or remove guests. You can show them what their balance is, so on and so forth. They can swipe their credit card at this point, agree to terms. They can check in now, again, giving that guest convenience, that option. And again, this is based on inventory within the PMS. So if you have a room that's available, the guest can check in. Right? And then offering them the upgrades. Again, that's something that's going to be consistent throughout our system. The amenities, again, if they want to do parking, if they want to rent a bike, massage, the hotel has autonomy in terms of what's offered to the guests, and they can always switch up amenities if there are certain things that they're promoting during the week or the month, what have you. Then swipe their credit card to finalize the bill, and apologies for that squiggly snake signature. Yeah, sorry about that. I got to work on my digital signature skills. And then from here, the guests can indicate how many keys, cut the key, go up to their room. So again, the business traveler, the person that doesn't really like talking to people, there's a wide mix of personalities. It allows you guys to address that and let them get to their room at their own pace. So that's just a quick example of how self-service check-in would work. Now, getting back to the operational side, I think that, when we think about the staff end user and what they're seeing, being able to check availability, occupancy, groups that are coming in, that's something that's very accessible within the system. Item inventory, being able to check real time, if you have certain items, whether it's, pack and play, whether it's parking, whatever it is, being able to see that on a tablet while you're walking a guest to their room if they're asking for an item that they want to add to their stay. So being that dynamic and being able to do that stuff real time. Now, I think that going into just the housekeeping, just to show you an example of how simple that is and how that's going to increase the velocity of your housekeeping staff and the productivity, I think that everyone's going to really like this. Being able to see the room status, being able to say, okay, we have this person checking in at this time. You can see what housekeeper is going to be, or which housekeeper is going to be assigned to that. And then being able to go in and update room statuses very quickly. Now, I will say in this section, you can also see when a guest has indicated they're going to be checking out, and then also when they're checking in. So if you remember when I was doing the mobile check-in, I indicated I was arriving at a certain time. This does feed into the housekeeping component. So it is linear in that the housekeepers can now say, oh, okay, I have somebody checking in at 9 p.m. I can, maybe push that room cleaning back. If I have somebody checking in at 11 a.m., I need to prioritize that higher. So it gives you guys that intel to be a little bit more responsive from a housekeeping and back of the house standpoint. Same thing with the checkout. If a guest does a mobile checkout, they can indicate what time they're going to be checking out. This will allow your housekeeping staff to know not to knock on this guest's door at 8 in the morning. You know that guest is going to be there till 3, so you can prepare accordingly. Right? When it comes to the actual experience of the housekeeping staff, being able to go in, update a room status from dirty to clean very quickly, and then that will get the room back into the inventory. Being able to check out a guest if the guest is still if the guest has left the room, giving the housekeeping staff that option to do that. Being able to take a room in and out of service and then assign it to a specific department, whether it's maintenance, whether it's IT, whether it's HVAC, and just having that real-time access to control that workflow, right, and communicate that to the proper department. HVAC, AC, not working. Okay. All right. And then being able to see everything that's going on with the room, historically having an audit trail of every item that's happened in the room or every update that's happened with this room.
So it really just ensures that things don't fall through the crack, right? Because, how you're currently doing, a lot of hotels are currently doing it, is that, if housekeeping sees that something needs to be attended to, it might be communicated via word of mouth or pen and paper. But if you don't have something that is automated and allows you to get notifications and tasks to be set, then the likelihood that some of those things are going to fall through the crack are very high.
Exactly. So this, it really ensures that you have a tight process, right? And again, it ensures that real-time update when it comes to a room being available. And like you said, when you're printing out paper, maybe the housekeeping supervisor leaves the paper somewhere, or they forget it, or it leaves more room for error, right? When you have something that's digital, it mitigates a lot of the risk there, and it makes the process a lot more airtight in terms of updates. So yeah, 100%, I agree with that. And I think the process of actually assigning the rooms, the room cleanings is something that it's tedium, but it has to be done, right? So having a system that allows you to look at the different types of cleanings, and every hotel can set up different segments of cleanings. These are all custom, within the system, right? And then from here, having a process in the morning, your housekeeping supervisor, your, director of rooms, whoever can go in, they can drag and drop, assign to the different housekeepers. You can see Taylor Swift.
I don't think she's going to be doing any cleaning.
She's probably not. She always has a light load, right? But yeah, it allows you to really automate that that process. And then once you come up with a process, you can actually just auto assign. So if you know Taylor does, you know, the first floor every day, or she cleans the first floor every day, you can just auto assign that sequence every morning. So you have the ability to automate that kind of tedious process previously. Okay. So that's really, you know, kind of the automation aspect when it comes to housekeeping. You know, when it comes to some of the other things that you're doing on a daily basis, when it comes to like financials, updating rates, having a system like if you're, you know, out for coffee or something like that, and, you know, you want to update your rates or update, you know, some of the restrictions on the rates, having a system that allows you to do that on a tablet that's cloud-based, that allows you to do it anywhere. I think that this is something that revenue managers that we work with really appreciate. How quick it is to go in, you know, look at a rate, for example, let's say premium queen or standard queen, and make an update to the rate, for example. So if you see rates are fluctuating via your channel manager or something like that, you can go in and make that that adjustment. So it just allows you to be a lot more dynamic when it comes to your revenue management. You can set all the settings, minimum length of stay, max, min, stay through, advanced booking, things like that. And then you can set a date range for how long you want this this rule to be in place. But yeah, I mean, it just allows you to be a lot more responsive when it comes to the rate management as well, on a tablet, on a phone, what have you. Okay. And then when we talk about financials and kind of automating that process, right? You have the ability to set your night ledger, your night ledger to go out or to close the day at whatever time the hotel wants to do that. I've had hotels that close the day at, you know, 7 p.m. or, you know, close it at 11 p.m., whatever your preference is there. In addition, having reports and financial reports that go out automatically. So you can actually, instead of having to go in and try to find the report and export it, you can just schedule your reports to go out daily to your accountant, to your accounts receivable, to your revenue manager, whoever's managing that process, so they get that data and they can go in and do what they have to do when it comes to the financial analysis for the day. So just having a system that does that and allows for that automation is going to actually save a lot of time for a lot of you know, a lot of your staff. Okay. And then, so the last thing here, guys, that, you know, we talk about communication between the front of the house and the back of the house and all the layers in between that, right? So you have maintenance people, you may have IT people at your hotel, you know, having a system that allows you to, you know, assign requests based on reservations. So if we look up a room, for example, and we say, you know, accounting or IT, you know, fixed TV, no Wi-Fi, having a system that allows you to triage that and look per department, right? So you can have your IT department, your maintenance department, your housekeeping, really track what's going on real time in the hotel based on requests for reservations or requests for guests. So just having that system that enables that type of communication and that seamless, you know, workflow will, you know, definitely show in your service level and your responsiveness. But I think that really kind of covers on a high level, you know, what a tablet and what a cloud-based property management system can do for a hotel. There's obviously nuances for every hotel and how you would use this. And I think that's the beauty of having a cloud system, is that you can adapt it to your process, right? You have certain things that each hotel, every hotel, you know, is different. You know, I like to say hotels are kind of like fingerprints. They all look similar, but they all have their own approach to processes when it comes to the back of the house or when it comes to maintenance, things like that. You can adjust and adapt our system or a cloud and mobile property management system around your needs and your culture, your processes.
All right, thank you so much, Hyatt, for that. And I think our audience was able to really get a good look at how processes work with a mobile PMS and how some of that can really be streamlined and enhance the productivity with your staff, and at the same time really giving your guests an opportunity to get on with their stay, and not be held up by processes. All right, so with that said, I do want to jump into a couple of questions, and I'll say this, there's much more to show with the system as a whole, and to explain with how mobile PMS can really amplify your operations. So following this webinar, we will be sending out a follow-up email. So if you'd like to get a deeper dive into how things work on the back end and into our mobile PMS, we'll be glad to set that up, and Hayek can be the one to go ahead and show you guys how that looks.
Most definitely. Well, I just just to put a bow on the process and automation, conversation, for the guests when they check out, kind of wrapping up their journey, if you will, having a system that allows them to do mobile checkout, going into their, I don't think you can see my screen.
Oh, let me switch you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yep. So having a system that allows the guests to go in, automate their checkout process, or give them the ownership over that experience. They can check out now or check out later. If they check out now, that guest has left. I can say that I am one of those guests that's always guilty of walking out of the hotel without saying anything to anybody. Just because, I'm typically on a business trip, what have you. This allows you to know that guest has left, and then you can put it into your housekeeping process via your mobile housekeeping. It also gives the guest the option of doing checkout later if they want. And then from there, seeing their bill, seeing whatever fees are on there, accepting charges and checking out. So, the theme is automation, the guest being able to see, okay, all the charges look good. I'm able to accept these charges instead of seeing something in there, or, not being able to see their bill until they go up to the front desk, or seeing it under the door. It just allows you to preempt that entire process for the guest, allows them to go about their day. So just wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of how easy that is for the guest, and what that experience is, when it comes to a mobile and cloud PMS.
Now, when it comes to mobile check-in and check-out, do you need to download an app to provide that?
So what's the question? I'm sorry.
When it comes to mobile check-in and check-out,
Yep.
Is there a need to download an app, or is it web-based?
So, I think that, with our system, with Stayntouch and our property management system, everything is browser-based. When it comes to the PMS, when it comes to the mobile pre-arrival check-in and checkout. So we've done that because it's unlikely for guests to download apps. I think that having a browser-based mobile check-in and checkout is going to ensure you have higher conversion, and it's going to ensure actual guests are going to use it, right? So it's lighter, it's easier for the guests. It goes to their email. They click on a link. It gives them the reservation information. So it is for us at Stayntouch. We do not require an app. It's browser-based. Apps are fine, but I think that's just part of the equation. I think you need to have a system that is very easy for the guest, or it's not going to be adopted.
Okay, great. All right, so we have a couple questions here from the audience. Let me just pull up my slides. So what are some of the best practices for deploying and using mobile housekeeping?
Well, so that's an interesting question because, I think there's a lot of systems out there. We've seen there's a whole litany of mobile housekeeping components or mobile housekeeping systems out there. I've seen a bunch of them. I think some of them are a little bit too complicated. And the thing is that you have to have user adoption. So your housekeepers or your housekeeping supervisor needs to be committed to using the system. So with Stayntouch, since it's built in to the property management system, you have the ability to kind of gauge logistically how you want to approach it. Do you want your housekeeping supervisor, having a tablet with the room status list and just going through, walking the floors, updating the room statuses? Or do you want to have your housekeepers have a list of the rooms that are assigned to them, and then be able to use their own devices to update room statuses? So you have options. Typically, with Stayntouch, we kind of gauge what you think is most realistic when it comes to your housekeeping staff. If you feel like it's going to be more controlled or more consistent by having the housekeeping supervisor kind of do it on a tablet and then kind of manage the process, or if your housekeepers want to use their devices, that's something that we allow you to adjust to and kind of adapt the system around. But that's a really good question, because the proof is in the pudding. When it comes to technology, you need to make sure that you have a good adoption plan and that you involve your staff that are going to be using the system, that they feel like they have some equity, in the process and how it's going to be used.
All right, another question here. Does Stayntouch have inbuilt channel manager?
Does it have inbuilt?
An inbuilt channel manager.
So Stayntouch has connections with the best of breed when it comes to channel management. So we work with all the top channel managers out there, but we do not have something that is proprietary. We don't have a proprietary channel manager within our system. So you would connect via two-way connection with all, pretty much all the major ones out there. I don't want to necessarily promote an individual one, but I know that we work with SiteMinder, Synexus, iHotelier, Travel Tripper, Cubulus in Western Europe, Vertical Booking, just to give everybody a fair shot on the shout out, right? But yeah, so we actually would connect with a channel manager, which would be a two-way bi-directional connection.
Awesome. So another one about housekeeping. Can you access housekeeping with any mobile device?
Yes, that is a great question, actually. So getting back to looking at it logistically, you can use an Android, an iPhone, a Surface tablet. You can use an Android tablet, an iPad. So you can use any kind of device. The way it's going to work with the housekeeping staff, they're going to have a permission-based login. So they don't need to see anything when it comes to guest information, any of that stuff. They're just going to, when they log in, see a list of the rooms that are assigned to them. So it's very simple. It's color-coded again within the system, so they know what different colors mean with, with the room status. So to answer your question, any kind of device except for Palm Pilots and Blackberries, those are not supported.
All right. And another one here. Can you support guests checking in on their own devices and using mobile phone to open room door? For example, guests doesn't interact with hotel staff or use hotel-owned mobile device before entering room. Do you have existing customers doing this?
Well, so I think what that question is asking is, can a guest use like a mobile key? And the answer is yes, as long as the door lock provider that you're working with supports BLE and provides a mobile key app. And we can actually deliver that entire process for the guest, during the pre-arrival check-in. As soon as a room gets allocated to the guest within the PMS, we send them an email, and then part of that email can have the mobile key in that email. So we can facilitate that entire process. So the answer is yes, but it requires a specific door lock company that we would work with that provides mobile key.
Awesome. Another one.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading the question again. We do have existing customers doing this, yes. Just to finalize the question, because I saw that last part, yeah.
Awesome. Now going back to setting tasks, are you able to set tasks for employees of different departments?
Yes, based on a room or a reservation, yes, you can actually segment. You can have as many departments as you want. Those are custom segments within the system. So when you're going through the configuration, of the property management system, you can have one for guest services, you can have IT, you can have maintenance, you can have housekeeping, you can have spa, what have you. So you can actually segment your tasks in the actions manager process based on kind of whatever segments of departments you have in the hotel.
All right, awesome. All right, so that does it for the questions. If you guys do have any more questions or comments, please feel free to follow up and send them directly to info@stayntouch.com. I want to thank our audience, especially for sticking with us the whole way through. And I want to thank our presenter here, Hyatt, who always does a great job of explaining the whole process and breaking things down to the bare bones so that folks understand exactly how a mobile PMS can be instrumental to streamlining their whole processes. So the webinar recording and the presentation will be available within 24 hours. We'll send that over in a follow-up email within 24 hours. So all registrants. And if you'd like to chat directly with Hyatt, feel free to email him at hyatt@stayntouch.com.
Okay, all right. That's fine.
Yeah, I didn't get your approval, huh?
That's fine. Well,
all right. Well, thank you guys again so much for sticking with us, and we'll follow up with an email.
Awesome.
Have a good day.
Thank you.